Hi everybody, how are you? I'm so excited to be back for part 2 of Healing Adrenal Fatigue Naturally. I'm your host, Amber Romaniuk, emotional eating, digestive, and hormone expert, and I've helped thousands of women and men all over the world fully overcome binge emotional eating, balance their hormones, and identify that they actually have something called an adrenal imbalance, insufficiency, adrenal fatigue, or high or low cortisol, depending on what's going on for you. And today in this video, we are going to be talking about the things that help your adrenal health and improve it, and the things that don't help and kind of hurt it and make it worse, or delay your adrenal regulation, which we don't want. And it can take time depending on the significance of your cortisol imbalance and how high or low the levels are. But that's how I want to talk about the kind of like what helps and what hurts, so that you can start to take some time and reflection, start observing maybe some of the habits you have, the behaviors, the thoughts, beliefs, some of the things that are going on that may be impacting or blocking you from regulating this imbalance and having better energy, having better mental clarity, stronger digestion, better sleep, and all of these things that I talked about in the first video. Right before we do that though, please do me a favor. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, go and click the link below to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you get notified each time a new video is up. This vlog series is gonna honestly be massive. I literally have a list of topic ideas because I don't just wanna share a few things. I wanna really break down the significance of adrenal fatigue, high cortisol, low cortisol, and all the different things it impacts, and how that can impact us physically with our health, emotionally, energetically, to help you better understand your body and become more aware and attuned, because that's what helps you feel empowered, and that's what actually helps you take your power back, rather than feeling like your body's out to get you and that your body is like at war with you. That is not true, but there's a lot going on internally that we need to learn to understand and be educated on, that we just haven't. I never used to know any of this. Okay, I learned all of this as I was on my healing journey, healing food addiction, binging and purging, self-hatred, body shame, the weight body battle, yo-yo dieting. All of that just made my adrenal health a complete mess. And as I stopped binge eating and then started realizing, okay, like I'm exhausted, I literally have no memory. And I was like 23 at the time. I have horrible brain fog. I'm putting the cereal in the fridge and the milk in the cupboard like nonstop. My mood's low, my cravings are through the roof. I like want to eat the world still, even though I'm not binging, because my blood sugar is a mess, and so on and so forth. I started to realize it was an important thing for me to investigate. So something that I want to, first touch on as we dive into this today is, leave me a comment below. Let me know, as we go through this video, what's resonating for you. Where are you feeling resistance? Where are you feeling like, ooh, I'm totally doing that, but to think about stopping doing that triggers me, upsets me. I don't want to change that. That's not going to make a difference, because some of the things that I'm going to talk about today could trigger you. They could trigger what I call the ego mind, the negative mind that wants us to stay in the same behaviors or sit in denial that what we're doing isn't a big deal. When the honest truth is, sometimes if we don't change our habits, thoughts, beliefs, or behaviors, some of these imbalances are going to just stick for a really long time, and you don't want to prolong the agony. And here's an honest truth about this that some of you might not want to hear. You cannot supplement your way only out of adrenal fatigue or adrenal burnout. Okay. It didn't just come out of nowhere, the imbalance. And so just thinking, oh, I'm just going to take 4, 5, 6, 7 adrenal supports, it's not going to cut it. It may help give you some temporary relief. However, if you don't take a step back and go, okay, but what are the actual things that created this in the first place and are fueling my symptoms and this high, cortisol number, this low cortisol number, not a lot's going to change. And unfortunately, we live in a society where it's like, oh, you have these symptoms. Oh, here, you did your test. Now take these 5 supplements and see you in 6 months. That doesn't cut it in my world. I want to have a close connection with my clients and for all of the people that are in my world consuming my content. And I also want to be honest, because it's so frustrating when you go and you get the test and you buy the 10 supplements and then you don't feel better. And then you're like, okay, now what? Right? So I'm going to break down these things that help and these things that don't. And of course, as we go along, just leave a comment. Let me know what thoughts come up for you. And these are, things that I want you to reflect upon and think about and see what feels best for you. You don't necessarily have to do all these things. I always just say start small, but start with reflection. Watch this video a couple times and then maybe take a step or two and work on one or two things at a time, okay? So that's always the way. Slow is best. And like I always say, if you address the roots, this could be the last time you actually regulate this, unless of course, life happens and a circumstance comes up, but then at least you know what to do to help shift it if it comes up again. Like, this is my third time healing adrenal fatigue, fingers crossed, hopefully the last time, but I know exactly what to do. I didn't know the first time. It took me way longer because I didn't know it, and my levels were like 3 times higher than they are now. Okay, so let's talk about the things first that you might be doing by accident or maybe knowingly, but you're feeling resistant to change it, that are actually continuing to fuel the adrenal fatigue, the adrenal burnout, that high or really low cortisol, the things that are kind of hurting your lovely little adrenal glands in the middle of your back. Okay, so the first thing, I know you all just want to go on Dr. Google and Google your symptoms and read about vitamins and herbs that are going to help balance your adrenal health, but I really encourage you to not do this. Do not use Dr. Google as your diagnosis tool. It's very important you actually get your cortisol tested and that you know the time to go and that you actually have someone who's going to read it with a more holistic approach, because like I talked about last time, the ranges for testing are way too big. And you could have an adrenal insufficiency in the normal range and, it be high or low, and the person reviewing it with you go, oh, that's fine. Like, it's normal. You don't have to worry about it. And then you're like, okay, but I still feel like crap. So be willing to get some support from somebody who can read it with you properly, explain what's going on, do a full health assessment, look at your gut health, look at your other hormones like your thyroid, nutrient deficiencies, inflammation, stress, mindset, relationship with food, ideally all of those things, because we want the whole picture, not just one number and then thinking, okay, I'm going to just take these things and that'll fix it. It's not going to give you what you want probably. And if it does, amazing. So if you're resonating with me and what I'm talking about and you want to connect and talk about testing, you want to talk about doing an adrenal balancing package with me, I'm happy to connect with you. You can click the link below to email me at info@amberprove.ca and let me know you want to do that. And or you can also click the link below to book a 30-minute body freedom consultation. It's complimentary. You just fill out the intake form, pick your time, and then we connect on Zoom formally and can talk about what's going on with your adrenals and all these other things that I'm touching on in my content, because often there's multiple things that are contributing to this. So the details are below if you do want to connect. I'm so happy to talk to you about this. We can do testing. It doesn't matter where you're located. I can just access different kinds depending on where you are, and then give you natural recommendations and help you really understand what's going on and to get through it. I don't just want to like, here's supplements, buy. I want you to actually overcome it, see it regulate, and then you have these tools and recommendations for the rest of your life. So ideally, if you can, work with somebody that you feel called to get the proper testing done and get the proper guidance and recommendations. And it should be more than just supplements, because this whole adrenal journey is about so much more than just taking a vitamin to fix it. And I think we've got to unprogram ourselves from quick fix, like test, supplement, fix. Like, it's deeper than that. So you're never going to get the quick fix from me if you're here. But that's a good thing, right? Because then you're actually going to overcome it for good. So the other thing too about actually getting testing done that's really important is high cortisol is going to require different recommendations, different courses of action for certain things that you're going to take or not take, versus adrenal burnout where the cortisol is too low. There's certain supplements that if your cortisol is really high and you take them, they're going to overstimulate your adrenal glands even more, and that can actually give you an adrenal ache. So if you feel an ache sometimes in the middle of your back, that could be your adrenal glands overstimulated from improper supplementation, or your system is just so stimulated and overwhelmed. So that's another reason, because certain recommendations are good for high, good for low, and it's also good to factor in what's going on with your thyroid, what's going on with your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, things like that, because depending on the full picture, there's certain things that will be helpful, but there's certain things that if you have other imbalances going on, we want to not recommend those things, because that could impact other hormones in a negative way. So this is really important. Your body is your temple. We want to make sure we don't take a wrong step, right? So get clarity, get the testing, get the proper answers. I think another thing that's really important is that we don't want to over supplement. Like I said earlier, you cannot supplement your way out of adrenal fatigue. You can try to take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things, but again, it can start to overstimulate the adrenal glands and it can overwhelm the system, and you can start to have all kinds of funky symptoms where your body is overwhelmed, you're taking too much and your liver gets overwhelmed, or your gallbladder gets overwhelmed, or your adrenal glands get overwhelmed and you get achy. The first time I tried to I healed adrenal fatigue, I was taking all kinds of things and I was actually taking too much. And I started to get the adrenal ache, and once I pulled back, that went away. So we can overdo it. So this is where we want to look at if you're having any resistance to like exploring more than just test and supplement, right? Because oftentimes we can get resistant or hesitant or a little uncomfortable thinking about doing our deeper work. There's behavior shifts, habit shifts, mindset shifts, working on other body systems like the digestive system, inflammation, your thyroid, that are important for us to look at and work on, because everything is working together. And as an example, if your gut health is off, it's a stressor, so it's going to stress out your body and you're going to produce more of that stress hormone. And if your stress hormone is off, it's going to stress out your digestive system, and that can make you feel more sensitive to more foods or have more bloating, right? So we want to look at everything. Okay, you're going to love me for these ones. Maybe not so much. Do not overdo it with caffeine. Caffeine is one of the worst things to consume when you have an adrenal issue, whether your levels are too high or too low. It is putting your body into a fight or flight stress response. So pretty much the worst combination is waking up really early, drinking a cup of coffee, going to the gym and doing a full-blown HIIT or cardio workout on an empty stomach, and then like waiting 2 or 3 hours to eat. That is just such an easy way to set your adrenal health up for a complete mess, okay? And I know I used to do that. Aside from the coffee, I was never a coffee person. But when I was over the binge eating, but I was still struggling with body image and I had a fear of gaining weight if I didn't stop working out. So my limiting belief was, if I don't work out, I'm going to gain weight. And I had a lot of guilt. I felt a lot of guilt if I didn't go to the gym 5 or 6 days a week in the morning and do my hour workout. And those are limiting beliefs. Those are insecurities that we want to work on, because that limiting belief, if I don't work out, I'm going to gain weight. Well, the irony of it was, I'll tell you a quick story. I was gaining weight anyway, so I wasn't binge eating anymore, but I had gotten right back to the weight that I was at my peak when I was binge eating, about 60 to 70 pounds heavier. I would kind of fluctuate back and forth. And it was kind of a big mind FUCK, because I was like, I'm not binging. What the hell? How come I'm not losing weight? This makes absolutely no sense. But the one thing I wasn't changing or slowing down was my movement. So my cortisol was 2,000. It should be 350. That's like a healthy number here in Canada. In the States, it's different. Your ranges are like 6 to like 20, which is way too crazy, way too big of a range. But the equivalent of my Canadian rating would be like 30 or 40 in the US rating. So like way too high. But I was resistant to stop working out because I had that limiting belief and insecurity. But the irony was I was gaining weight anyway. So my cortisol is 2,000. And then I discover my thyroid's a mess and I have hypothyroid, underactive, and that's contributing to me gaining weight. I'm so tired. And then I discover my progesterone is so low, I'm flagging postmenopausal, and my estrogen is through the roof, and I have estrogen dominance, and it's 10 times higher than it's supposed to be. Hence, night sweats at 25, heavy 2 weeks of breast tenderness before my cycle, feeling really puffy and warm and brain fogged all the time, and just that easy weight gain. And so I was so resistant to slowing down my workout routine. So if you're hearing me talk about this and you're like, there's no effing way I'm ever slowing down my workout routine, let me tell you, you start to feel so much better once you can work through the resistance and the insecurities behind that resistance. So for me, it was fear, and I needed to use exercise to try and have control over my weight, but it wasn't working anyway, and I was out of control. And so I was like, you know what? Why not? What is it going to hurt? I'm already gaining weight. Why don't I just take a rest and see what happens? And I tell you, that was a game changer, and it blew my mind, because as soon as I started to slow down and like I took a break from the gym, I'm not saying you have to do that. It's different for everybody. Some people don't have to change their workout routines much if their levels are just slightly off, but if it starts to get really high or really low, we do have to talk about that. And so I start resting more, and it blew my mind how quickly things started to shift. I was sleeping better, my blood sugar regulated more, my cravings started to go away, my retention in my body started to reduce, and my clothes started to fit looser. It literally melted off. I am not kidding you, and I did not have to lift a finger. I rested and it released. And some of you might be going, well, you're in your 20s, so that's why. And it's like, no, I've helped women from their 20s to their 90s regulate hormones and things like this, and the weight comes off because weight is a protective mechanism and the body hangs on when she doesn't feel safe. And so she was feeling safer, and then she let go, and then my thyroid and my estrogen levels, obviously while taking the proper support, and my cortisol started to come down, my energy, mental clarity, my mood boosted. And I was like, wow, you really don't need exercise to lose weight or keep it off. That's such a BS thing. Yeah, we want to have mindful movement because it makes you feel good. You feel connected to your body. You feel strong. You feel limber. You feel flexible. I'm a huge, proponent of mindful movement, but mindless movement where you're punishing your body, you need to go because you feel forced to out of guilt. If I don't go, I'm going to gain weight, or out of fear, I'm going to gain weight. That is not a healthy relationship with exercise. And so if that's you, just know it's okay, but we want to work through the guilt if you don't go, that nothing bad's going to happen if you don't go and you take a rest day. And to crush these limiting beliefs, this fear of weight gain or whatever it is, because it's the same for my clients. They will start releasing weight and they're mind blown at how easy it actually is and that they don't have to do anything extreme. And then as their hormones regulate, they do movement they love and they don't force anything they don't want to, and their body responds super well. And you get to that natural set point. I lost that weight in about a year and I literally rested. And then I just got into walking and gentle stretching and some yoga and things like that, and bike rides in the summer and hiking and things like that. Everyone's different, but I wanted to share that because it blew my mind and it crushed my limiting beliefs. We don't need diets and exercise to release weight. Some of you might be like, oh, yes, you do, but not in my world. We want to regulate the systems and help the body feel safe. And it happens with ease and grace, and you can do your movement and nourish your body well, of course, but without it being a punishment. But to go back to the caffeine, coffee, right? Matcha, which is 10 times the caffeine of a green tea, white tea, black tea. These things can all, energy drinks, anything like that, really overstimulate and raise your cortisol even higher. So if you're waking up early, yeah, okay, maybe some of you can't control that. You have to wake up early for work. That's fine. But if you're waking up really early, having a cup of coffee or caffeine, going to the gym and doing a hard, intense workout for 45 plus minutes, and not really eating anything, this is gonna skyrocket your cortisol even more, because your cortisol is naturally supposed to be slightly high in the morning and then reduce as the day goes on, but you're just boosting it even higher. And the body cannot tell good stress from your workout from not good stress. It just sees it all as a stress as you're in this overstimulating, overwhelmed place. So this is why it's important to understand that if we have resistances and hesitancies, sometimes working through that is a game changer, because when you slow down, I've had so many clients, their skin clears more easily, their digestion improves, they go to the bathroom every day again, their cycle comes back because it disappeared because their body's so stressed. And when our cortisol is really high, our adrenal glands will eat through progesterone. It's called the progesterone seal, and then your cycle can disappear. You can have fertility issues, more menopause issues. And so all these things start to regulate so much more easily when we limit our consumption of the stimulants. For some of my clients, they'll still have their cup of coffee because they don't have a severe imbalance. But for some of them, we do have to talk about over time weaning off of caffeine, because it is just contributing to what you don't want. And I'm honest, do you want the change to happen, or do you want to half-ass it and have to deal, be taking adrenal support for the rest of your life, and or have the symptoms for a lot longer than you need to? I want my clients to, see good changes and not have to drag it out for years or decades. But it's up to you in how resistant you are and or how open and willing you are to make changes. And of course, you're going to do what feels best. And then with movement, some of my clients don't have to change, some do, but we always do it at a pace that feels good for you, because each person is different and each person has different limiting beliefs and insecurities, and we have to work on that kind of stuff. Also, don't procrastinate your sleep. If you're staying up until 2-3 in the morning, binge watching TV, right? Resisting the next day, binge eating, whatever is going on, that is going to totally trash your hormones and mess up your cortisol. Optimal hormone balance time is between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. And if you are constantly awake during that time, aside from obviously if you have no choice because you have to work, I do have some clients who have to work night shift, which is unfortunately one of the worst things for our adrenals and our circadian rhythm and our hormones. But I get it, and that's life. And so we'll do the best we can to course correct, and we do see improvements. But if you're just rebelling and staying up late all the time, binge watching Netflix, or you're the night owl, like it is sabotaging your hormone health. I can tell you that. So starting to, be open and willing to shift your sleep routine and get enough sleep is really important. Another thing, when you have a cortisol issue, don't do extreme cleanses, restrictive diets, heavy fasting, cutting out lots of carbohydrates. The worst diets that you can do when you have adrenal fatigue are keto, carnivore, and low carb. We need good complex whole foods carbohydrates to help regulate our adrenal glands. And one of the things that pushed me into severe adrenal fatigue is I cut out all fruit, and I was eating and please don't do this, broccoli and chicken breast for breakfast with avocado and stuff, because I was trying to heal my gut and diet and lose weight and all this stuff at the same time. And it completely skyrocketed my cortisol even more, because I wasn't getting good complex carbohydrates in the morning, and low carb vegetables wasn't cutting it. I'll get more into those things in a different video. But it's really important to understand that these things are going to continue to slow your progress and or contribute to the insufficiency getting worse. And we don't want that. I have had so many women come to me who tried keto to lose weight, but then it fueled binge eating, emotional eating, food fears, diet rules. And it really made their hormone imbalances that they already had worse, or created these significant issues with adrenal health. I think it's also really important to not ignore the binge eating, food addiction, binge purge, compulsive eating, emotional eating. If you're dealing with this, it is imperative that you be willing to deal with it, because if you don't, your adrenal health is not going to see much improvement, because binge eating, restriction, yo-yo dieting, overeating, binge purge cycle are very, I don't want to say hurtful, but they are temporarily really, they do a number on your adrenal glands, and they really cause a ton of stress. And so we really want to be mindful of, one of the first things is actually overcoming those behaviors while supporting your adrenal glands. Because if you want to see the biggest change, like I said, you can't supplement your way out of adrenal fatigue. If you're dealing with binge eating, emotional eating, any kind of emotional relationship with food, be willing to get support with that. And if you do want to reach out to talk about going on the journey to fully overcoming your self-sabotage with food, I would love to have a conversation with you about that. I healed it myself about 14 years ago, and I've helped thousands do the same. Fully overcoming, not full overcoming. And it's amazing to see the shift. And of course, as they do, the hormones regulate, the weight releases more easily, the digestion improves, and the confidence and the freedom are priceless. So you can also click below, like I said earlier, and book a 30-minute complimentary body freedom consultation. We can talk about that as well. And if you're wondering if you're struggling with emotional eating, there's a free emotional eating quiz you can also take, and the link is below. So yeah, that is really important stuff. If you're a people pleaser, if you are the perfectionist, the all or nothing mentality, you're in this state where you are not really being honest about your stress, and there is a lot of stress, and you're overbooked all the time. These are really important things for us to work on, because they're having a direct negative impact on your adrenal health, because you're overbooked and you're overstressed, and that is going to contribute to an overstimulation of your body, and your body just flooding the cortisol and adrenaline constantly through. We all have different lives and lifestyles. I know you might have kids, families, right? Other commitments, work, whatever it is, but there's always a way to figure out how to make a bit of time for yourself, right? Even it's less mindless scrolling, less TV time, and more tuning into you instead. So it just depends on the person. Ideally, don't skip breakfast, because that will shoot your cortisol through the roof and mess with your blood sugar and your cravings, and increase your chances of later day binge eating. And don't rebel against self-care. Self-care is so important to help you process your emotions, release negative emotions, regulate your nervous system. Oh my gosh, so important. Okay, we're gonna get into the do's. I'm already over time. Do you see how much there is to talk about here? There is so much to talk about. In fact, I think I'm gonna end it here, and I'm gonna make an entirely separate video. I'm gonna leave you on the cliffhanger, and I'm gonna drop the things that are gonna help with adrenal fatigue next week. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out. Sometimes some suspense is a good thing, because I tend to give everything all at once, and I'm I can't do that on YouTube, or people lose interest after 20 minutes. No, you guys aren't going to lose interest. You're going to be with me the whole way. We're going to get into all the do's, all the things that are going to help you But I want you to journal on like, what resistance did I have when I listened to this video? Did I have resistance around caffeine, exercise, doing my deeper work? Am I really just wanting a quick fix answer? Let me know what comes up. Leave a comment below. If you have any questions about adrenal fatigue, binge eating, or anything else that I've been talking about, leave them in the comments below. I love interacting with you. The more that you share and interact, the more I know where to guide this content and what you really need and what you want help with. So I'm so glad you joined me again today. You should see my epic setup. I literally have my phone on a Christmas gift. You know, when you move in December, like sometimes people aren't going to get their Christmas gifts until maybe Feb or March. I'll be more organized this year because we won't be moving again. But thank you so much for joining me. I love, love, love creating these videos for you. And like I said, the details are below to connect for body freedom consultation, take the free emotional eating quiz, or reach out if you want to get in and do an adrenal balancing package together, which includes hormone testing. So have a great rest of your day, and we will see you next week for the next vlog. Take care.